Success is never free. It doesn't come to those who wait, wish, or hope. It comes to those who are willing to sacrifice. The uncomfortable truth is that most people want success, but they don't want to pay the price. They want the rewards without the discipline, the achievement without the struggle. And that's exactly why so many remain stuck in the same place, year after year, watching others rise while they stay behind. Look around. Every great achiever, every leader, every self-made success story has one thing in common. They gave up something to get to where they are. They didn't waste their nights scrolling through distractions. They didn't spend their money on temporary pleasures, and they didn't let comfort rob them of their future. They understood something most people refuse to accept. Success demands sacrifice. It requires discipline when no one is watching, effort when no one is cheering, and resilience when quitting seems easier. The world is full of people who say they want more money, more freedom, more opportunities. But their actions tell a different story. They waste time on things that bring no value. They let emotions control their decisions, and they stay attached to habits that keep them stuck. The truth is, you can't keep living for short-term pleasures and expect long-term success. If you're not willing to struggle, if you're not willing to push past what's comfortable, then success will remain out of reach. But here's the good news. Every sacrifice you make today is an investment in your future. Every disciplined decision, every hour spent improving, every distraction avoided, it all compounds. You are either moving toward the life you want or further away from it. And the difference is the choices you make every single day. The question isn't whether success is possible for you. The question is, are you willing to do what most people won't? Are you willing to put in the effort when no one is watching? Are you willing to let go of what's easy so you can build something greater? Because if you are, the rewards will be worth every sacrifice. Success isn't reserved for the lucky. It's reserved for the relentless. Number one, if you want more, be ready to give up something. Success isn't a mystery. It's not reserved for a special few. It's not something you stumble upon by luck. It's a process, a formula, a decision. And at the core of that decision is one simple truth. If you want more out of life, you have to be willing to give up something. Most people never get what they want. Not because they aren't capable, not because they aren't smart, but because they aren't willing to make the trade. They want success, but they also want to stay comfortable. They want the rewards, but they don't want to let go of the habits, the routines, the distractions that are holding them back. And that's why they stay stuck. That's why they never move forward. Because success doesn't come to those who just wish for it. It comes to those who are ready to pay the price. If you look at anyone who has achieved something great, you'll see the same pattern. They didn't just do more, they gave up more. They sacrificed time, comfort, money, relationships, whatever it took to reach the next level. They made choices that most people aren't willing to make. They stopped wasting hours on entertainment. They stopped surrounding themselves with people who drained their energy. They stopped making excuses. They stopped living for the moment and started building for the future. And that's where most people fail. They want to hold on to everything. They want to have success and still do all the things that keep them from it. But you can't have both. You can't spend your nights binge-watching TV and expect to wake up successful. You can't spend your money on things you don't need and expect to build wealth. You can't surround yourself with negative people and expect to have a winning mindset. Something has to give. The question is, what are you willing to sacrifice? Because whether you realize it or not, you're already making a trade every single day. Every time you choose to stay in your comfort zone, you're sacrificing growth. Every time you choose entertainment over education, you're sacrificing progress. Every time you choose temporary pleasure over long-term success, you're sacrificing your future. Some people will say they don't have time to build something great, but they have time to scroll through their phones for hours. Some will say they don't have money to invest in themselves, but they'll spend it on things that don't matter. Some will say they don't have energy to chase their dreams, but they have energy to go out, to party, to waste another day doing the same things that have gotten them nowhere. This is the reality most people don't want to face. Your life is a direct result of what you are willing to give up. If you want more, you have to make space for it. You have to stop wasting your most valuable resources, your time, your energy, your focus, on things that aren't helping you grow. You have to be willing to let go of old habits, old routines, old ways of thinking. You have to be willing to cut out distractions, to say no to things that feel good now, but won't matter in the long run. You have to be willing to struggle, to be uncomfortable, to go through seasons where it feels like you're losing. But you're not losing, you're investing. Think about it. If you sacrifice your evenings to work on a skill, in a few years, you'll be ahead. If you sacrifice spending on things you don't need and start saving and investing, you'll be in a better financial position. If you sacrifice your social life for a while to focus on your goals, you'll build something that allows you to live on your terms. Every sacrifice you make today is setting up your future. And yes, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, it's lonely at times. But that's why so few people do it. That's why most people settle. Because sacrifice is painful. But do you know what's worse? Regret. Waking up years from now, knowing you could have done more, knowing you could have been more, but you chose the easy way out. That's the real pain. So what are you holding on to that's keeping you from success? What are you afraid to give up? What habits? What distractions? What excuses are standing in your way? Because until you let them go, nothing changes. Until you're willing to make the trade, you'll stay exactly where you are. If you want more, be ready to give up something. That's the truth. That's the price. And those who are willing to pay it will always be the ones who get what they want. Number 2. The price of success is paid in discipline and effort. Success is not handed out for free. It doesn't show up just because you want it. It doesn't come knocking on your door while you sit back and wait. It demands something from you. It asks for discipline. It requires effort. And if you're not willing to pay that price, you'll never have it. That's the hard truth that most people don't want to hear. People love the idea of success. They dream about it. They talk about it. They wish for it. But when it comes down to doing the work, to staying consistent, to making sacrifices, that's where they stop. They want the results, but they don't want the process. They want the rewards, but they don't want the effort. And that's why most people never get there. Because success doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to action. It responds to discipline. It responds to those who show up every single day. No matter how they feel, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how long it takes. It's easy to be motivated when you first start. When the idea is fresh, when the excitement is there, when you can see the possibilities. But motivation fades. Inspiration runs out. And that's where discipline comes in. Because discipline is what keeps you going when you don't feel like it. Discipline is what makes you do the work when no one is watching. Discipline is what separates the ones who succeed from the ones who quit. Most people fail because they rely on how they feel. They say they'll do it when they're motivated. They say they'll start when they feel ready. But success doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't wait for you to be in the mood. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It demands that you show up anyway, that you put in the effort even when it's inconvenient, that you push forward even when you don't feel like it, because that's what it takes. Every successful person you see, every story of achievement you admire, behind all of it is discipline and effort. There are no exceptions. There's no way around it. If you want something, you have to put in the work. If you want to get in shape, you have to show up to the gym even when you're tired. If you want to build wealth, you have to make smart financial decisions even when it's difficult. If you want to master a skill, you have to practice even when you don't see immediate results. That's how it works. That's the price. But here's the problem. Most people want to skip the hard part. They want shortcuts. They want the secret formula. They want to find an easier way. And that's why they never make it. Because there is no shortcut. There is no hack. There's just the work. There's just the discipline to keep going when everything inside you wants to stop. People look at successful individuals and think they got lucky. They think they had some advantage that made it easier. But what they don't see is the years of effort. The nights spent working while others were sleeping. The early mornings. The sacrifices. The failures. That's the part they ignore. But that's the part that made the success possible. And that's the part that stops most people. Because discipline isn't easy. It's not fun. It's not exciting. Waking up early when you'd rather sleep. That's not fun. Working on your craft when everyone else is relaxing. That's not exciting. saying no to distractions when they're calling your name. That's not easy, but that's what it takes. People say they want success, but their actions tell the truth. They say they want to be great, but they hit the snooze button. They say they want to change their life, but they keep repeating the same habits. They say they want more, but they're not willing to do more. And that's why they stay stuck. Because success is not for those who just talk about it. It's for those who prove it with their effort. It's for the ones who put in the hours when no one is watching. It's for the ones who stay focused when distractions are everywhere. It's for the ones who show up day after day, even when they feel like quitting. Because that's the real test. Not how hard you work when you feel inspired, but how hard you work when you don't. It's easy to start. It's easy to want it. But do you have the discipline to keep going when nothing is happening? Do you have the patience to push through the days where you see no progress? Do you have the effort to show up even when it's inconvenient? That's the real question. Because if you don't, success will never be yours. Some people will hear this and get offended. They'll say it's too harsh, but that's the reality. You can either accept it and do the work, or you can keep making excuses and stay where you are. Because life will never give you what you want. It will only give you what you're willing to work for. So if you want success, stop looking for the easy way. Stop waiting for the right moment. Stop hoping for luck. Pay the price. Put in the effort. Build the discipline. Because in the end, that's the only way to get it. Number 3, sacrificing short-term pleasure for long-term reward. Success is a simple concept, but it's not easy to achieve. Everyone wants a better life. More money, better health, stronger relationships, and a sense of fulfillment. But very few are willing to make the sacrifices necessary to earn those things. The reason so many people never reach their goals is not because they aren't capable. It's not because they don't have opportunities. It's because they refuse to give up short-term pleasure for long-term reward. They want success, but they're not willing to let go of the comforts that are holding them back. Most people struggle not because they lack intelligence or talent, but because they make the wrong choices every day. They choose entertainment over effort. They choose to relax when they should be working. They choose to spend money on things they don't need instead of investing in their future. They choose to waste time on distractions instead of using that time to improve. And these choices, small as they seem, determine the direction of their lives. Success isn't built in the moments when you feel inspired. It's built in the moments when you don't. When you're tired, but you still get up and do the work. When your friends are out having fun, but you stay home to improve your skills. When everyone else is taking it easy, but you're pushing yourself to get better. That's when success is created. Not in a single moment of motivation, but in the small, difficult choices you make every single day. Most people don't want to hear this. They want to believe that success is just about luck, or talent, or knowing the right people. But the truth is, it comes down to discipline. It comes down to whether or not you're willing to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term gain. That's the real difference between those who succeed and those who don't. Think about the people who are ahead in life. The ones who have built wealth, strong relationships, and a meaningful life. They didn't get there by accident. They didn't get there by sitting around, hoping things would change. They got there because they made sacrifices. They gave up comfort in exchange for progress. They gave up distractions in exchange for focus. They gave up wasting time in exchange for learning, growing, and improving. Look at the other side. Look at the people who never got anywhere. The ones who are always struggling, always complaining, always stuck in the same place year after year. They made choices too. They chose to take it easy instead of putting in the effort. They chose to go out every weekend instead of saving and investing their money. They chose to spend hours on social media instead of developing skills. And now they're living with the consequences of those choices. The problem is when you're in the moment, those small choices don't seem important. One night out with friends instead of working on your goals doesn't seem like a big deal. Sleeping in instead of getting up early doesn't feel like it will make a difference. Spending money on things you don't need seems harmless, but success and failure aren't created in one big moment. They're created in the small, daily decisions you make. Most people want to have it both ways. They want to enjoy the fun and easy things now while still achieving success later. But it doesn't work that way. If you want more, you have to give up something. You can't have both. You can't live for short-term pleasure and expect to have long-term success. You can't waste time and expect to be ahead in life. You can't avoid discomfort and expect to grow. People say they want to be rich, but they're not willing to sacrifice their spending habits. They say they want to be in shape, but they're not willing to sacrifice junk food and laziness. They say they want to be successful, but they're not willing to sacrifice time-wasting activities. They say they want to change, but they're not willing to sacrifice their old ways of thinking and behaving. If you're not where you want to be in life, you need to take an honest look at what you're willing to give up. Are you willing to sacrifice comfort for discipline? Are you willing to sacrifice wasting time for productivity? Are you willing to sacrifice distractions for focus? Are you willing to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term reward? Because if you're not, nothing is going to change. Most people don't change until they're forced to. They wait until they have no other choice. They wait until their situation becomes so bad that they're desperate for a way out. But by then, they've wasted so much time. They've made things so much harder than they needed to be. If you want success, don't wait until you're forced to make sacrifices. Choose to make them now. Choose to give up what's holding you back before it's too late. The truth is, the sacrifices you make today determine the life you will have tomorrow. If you sacrifice now, you will have freedom later. If you sacrifice distractions now, you will have success later. If you sacrifice comfort now, you will have growth later. But if you refuse to make those sacrifices, if you keep choosing what's easy, what's fun, what's comfortable, then years from now, you will be in the same place, wondering why nothing changed. The people who win in life are the ones who understand this. They know that sacrifice isn't a loss, it's an investment. They know that giving up small pleasures today means they can have something far greater in the future. They know that discipline and hard work pay off, and they know that the only way to get more out of life is to be willing to let go of the things that don't serve them. The choice is yours. No one is going to force you to make sacrifices. No one is going to take away your distractions. No one is going to stop you from wasting time. That's up to you. But just remember, every time you choose short-term pleasure over long-term success, you're making a decision about your future. You're choosing to stay exactly where you are. If you truly want success, if you truly want to change your life, then be willing to make the sacrifices. Be willing to give up what's holding you back. Be willing to delay gratification for something better. Be willing to put in the work when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, when no one is watching. Because at the end of the day, success is not about luck, it's about choices. And the question you need to ask yourself is this: are you making the choices that will lead you to the life you want? Or are you choosing comfort over your future? Number 4, time is your most valuable asset. Use it wisely. Time is the most valuable asset you will ever have. Not money, not possessions, not even opportunities. Because without time, none of those things matter. You can lose money and make it back. You can fail at something and try again. But once time is gone, it's gone forever. And yet most people treat their time like it's unlimited, wasting hours, days, even years on things that don't move them forward. They say they want to be successful. They say they want to change their lives. But then they spend their time doing things that lead them nowhere. Look around. How many people do you see wasting their days, scrolling through their phones, watching mindless entertainment, procrastinating, waiting for the right moment to start? How many people do you know who keep saying they'll get serious about their goals someday, but someday never comes? They don't realize that every second that slips away is a second they will never get back. They think they have time, but they don't. Because time is always moving, whether you use it wisely or not. Successful people understand this. They know that time is the one thing they can't afford to waste. That's why they move with urgency. That's why they don't let distractions pull them away from their mission. That's why they don't waste time complaining, making excuses, or waiting for the perfect conditions to start. They know that the clock is ticking, and every moment they waste is a moment they could have used to get better, to build, to grow, to move closer to their goals. The truth is, your success is determined by how you use your time. It's not about how smart you are, how talented you are, or how many resources you have. It's about what you choose to do with the hours you are given every single day. You can spend those hours building something for yourself, developing skills, learning, improving, working on your goals. Or you can spend those hours being distracted, being lazy, putting things off, doing what's easy instead of what's necessary. Most people waste time because they think they have more of it than they really do. They assume they'll always have another chance, another day, another opportunity. But life doesn't work that way. You don't know how much time you have left. You don't know what tomorrow holds. And if you keep waiting, if you keep pushing things off, if you keep letting distractions control your life, you will wake up one day and realize that years have passed, and you are still in the same place. If you want to be successful, if you want to change your life, you have to start valuing your time. You have to start treating it like the rare and precious resource that it is. That means cutting out the things that waste your time. That means being intentional with how you spend your days. That means making the most of every moment. Because every moment is either bringing you closer to your goals or pulling you further away. Think about this. What if you only had 6 months to change your life? What if in 6 months everything you have now was going to be taken away? And the only way to build something better was to use those months as wisely as possible. Would you still be spending hours watching TV, scrolling through social media, wasting time on things that don't matter? Or would you be focused, disciplined, making every second count? The reality is, you don't need 6 months to pass before you start treating your time with value. You can start right now. You can start by cutting out the things that don't serve you. You can start by setting real goals and actually working toward them. You can start by using your time the way successful people do, with purpose, with urgency, with the understanding that it is the most valuable thing you have. Look at the people who are winning in life. They are not wasting time. They are not sitting around waiting for motivation. They are not filling their days with distractions. They are working, improving, growing. They know that the time they have is limited, and they are not willing to waste it on things that don't move them forward. Now look at the people who are struggling. They are always talking about what they're going to do, but never actually doing it. They are always finding excuses for why they haven't made progress. They are always caught up in entertainment, distractions, things that keep them stuck in the same cycle. And years go by, but nothing changes. You have to make a decision. You can either be one of the people who use their time wisely and build a future for themselves, or you can be one of the people who waste their time and stay exactly where they are. And make no mistake, if you don't actively take control of how you use your time, the world will take control of it for you. Distractions will steal it. Other people's demands will consume it. And before you know it, you'll be looking back, wondering where all your time went. The key to success is not working harder. It's not even about being the most talented. It's about being the most disciplined with your time. It's about knowing what matters and focusing on it. It's about cutting out the things that steal your time and putting your energy into what will actually move you forward. The hours you spend on social media. Imagine if you spent those hours learning something new. The time you spend binge watching shows. Imagine if you used that time to work on your business, your skills, your goals. The days you waste procrastinating. Imagine if you actually took action instead. Your life would be completely different. But it's not enough to just understand this. You have to act on it. You have to wake up every day and make the decision to use your time wisely. You have to set priorities. You have to have discipline. You have to be willing to make sacrifices. Because every day that passes is a day you will never get back. And the longer you wait to take your time seriously, the harder it will be to change. If you're serious about success, stop saying you don't have time. Stop making excuses. Stop pretending that you have all the time in the world. You don't. The clock is ticking. And every second, you are either getting closer to the life you want or further away from it. The choice is yours. You can keep wasting time, keep making excuses, keep putting things off until it's too late. Or you can take control. You can start making every second count. You can start using your time the way successful people do, wisely, intentionally, with purpose. Because at the end of the day, time is the only thing you can never get back. And if you don't use it wisely, you will regret it. Number 5. Sacrifice isn't losing, it's investing in your future. Most people hear the word sacrifice, and they immediately think of loss. They think of giving something up, missing out, going without. And that's exactly why they stay stuck in the same place year after year. Because they see sacrifice as pain instead of power. They don't understand that true sacrifice isn't about losing. It's about investing. It's about trading something small now for something greater later. It's about giving up temporary comfort for long-term success. The people who succeed in life don't avoid sacrifice. They embrace it because they know that every sacrifice they make today is setting them up for a better future tomorrow. Look at anyone who has ever achieved anything great. You will find sacrifice in their story. The athlete who wakes up before the sun to train while everyone else is sleeping. The entrepreneur who works late nights and early mornings while their friends are out partying. The student who chooses to study instead of wasting time. The artist who spends years perfecting their craft while others take the easy road. They all had to give something up. They all had to make tough choices, but they didn't see it as a loss. They saw it as an investment because they understood one thing: what you are willing to sacrifice determines how far you will go. Most people want success, but they don't want to pay the price. They want the rewards without the work. They want the lifestyle without the discipline. They want the results without the effort. But life doesn't work that way. You don't get to have it all without giving something up. You can either have temporary pleasure or you can have long-term greatness. But you cannot have both. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you will start making real progress. Think about the things holding you back right now. Maybe it's the time you waste on distractions. Maybe it's the people in your life who don't support your vision. Maybe it's bad habits that keep you from reaching your potential. Whatever it is, you have to be willing to sacrifice it if you want to go to the next level. Because success requires space. It requires focus. It requires you to let go of the things that are keeping you from moving forward. Some sacrifices will be uncomfortable. Waking up earlier when you want to sleep in. Saying no to invitations when you'd rather go out. Choosing discipline when laziness feels easier. These moments will test you. They will make you wonder if it's even worth it. But this is where most people fail. They quit when the sacrifice becomes too hard. They give up because they want the comfort more than they want the success. And that's why they never reach their full potential. Because they were not willing to make the sacrifices necessary to get there. If you want to change your life, you have to reframe the way you see sacrifice. Instead of seeing it as something painful, see it as something powerful. Instead of seeing it as losing, see it as leveling up. Every time you give up something that's holding you back, you are making space for something better. Every time you choose to invest in your future, instead of wasting your time, you are moving one step closer to the life you want. Imagine your life 5 years from now. Who do you want to be? What kind of success do you want to have? Now ask yourself, what are you doing today to make that future possible? Because if your current actions don't align with the future you want, then something has to change. And that change starts with sacrifice. It starts with making the hard choices today so that you can live the life you dream of tomorrow. No one is going to do it for you. No one is going to push you to sacrifice. You have to make that decision for yourself. You have to want it badly enough that you are willing to pay the price. Because every successful person before you had to do the same thing. They had to make choices. They had to say no when it was easier to say yes. They had to give things up. But in the end, they didn't lose. They gained everything. Your future is in your hands. It is being built with the sacrifices you make today. So ask yourself, are you willing to give up what's easy for what's worth it? Are you willing to let go of comfort to step into greatness? Because if you are, then nothing can stop you. If you are, then success is just a matter of time. Number 6, every great achievement starts with a hard decision. Every great achievement you have ever seen. Every success story that has inspired you. Every person who has risen from nothing to build something extraordinary. It all started with a single decision. Not an easy decision, not a comfortable one, but a hard decision. A decision to leave the old life behind and step into something unknown. A decision to chase a dream when the odds were stacked against them. A decision to go all in, even when fear whispered every reason to quit. This is the truth most people don't want to hear. They want success, but they don't want to make the hard choices that come with it. They want the results, but they don't want to face the reality that change requires sacrifice. They want a new life, but they are still clinging to the habits, the mindset, and the comfort of their old one. And that's exactly why they stay stuck, because they refuse to make the decision that will change everything. You see, every breakthrough moment in life comes down to one thing: courage. The courage to decide. The courage to stop hesitating. To stop second-guessing. to stop making excuses and just go for it. The courage to commit. The courage to say, enough is enough. I'm not living like this anymore. I'm done wasting time. I'm done playing small. I'm done waiting for the perfect moment. Because there is no perfect moment. That's the kind of decision that changes everything. Think about it. The person who decides to get in shape doesn't do it because it's easy. They do it because they are tired of feeling weak, tired of looking in the mirror and not liking what they see, tired of being out of breath just walking up the stairs. They make a decision. They commit. And that decision forces them to change. They wake up early. They push through the pain. They say no to the foods that once controlled them. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. But over time, everything changes. They get stronger. They get healthier. They build confidence. All because they made one decision and refused to back down. The same is true for the person who decides to start a business. It's not easy. It's terrifying. They don't have all the answers. They don't know if it will work, but they make the decision anyway. They start learning. They take risks. They put in long hours, and eventually they start seeing results. The people who doubted them, they start asking for advice. The ones who laughed at their dream, they start wishing they had done the same. But none of that would have happened if they hadn't made the decision to go for it. Most people never reach their potential because they are waiting for permission. They are waiting for someone to tell them it's okay to start. They are waiting for a sign, for validation, for the fear to go away. But here's the reality. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you success. No one is going to make the decision for you. You have to do it yourself. You have to want it badly enough that you are willing to step into the unknown without a guarantee. And yes, it will be hard. Yes, there will be moments when doubt creeps in, when fear tries to pull you back. But those moments are where growth happens. Those moments are where you prove to yourself that you are stronger than you ever thought. Those moments are where you separate yourself from the people who will spend their entire lives wishing they had been brave enough to do what you are doing now. So the question is, what are you waiting for? What decision have you been putting off? What change do you know you need to make, but keep avoiding because it scares you? Whatever it is, face it now. Make the decision. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, because the longer you wait, the longer you delay your future. The longer you hesitate, the more life passes you by. Every great achievement starts with a hard decision, and that decision is yours to make. Will you keep playing it safe? Or will you step up and take control of your life? Will you keep making excuses? Or will you commit to doing whatever it takes? Because at the end of the day, no one can do it for you. The power is in your hands, but only if you have the courage to use it. Number 7, if you're not willing to struggle, you're not ready to succeed. If you're not willing to struggle, you're not ready to succeed. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. They want the reward, but they don't want the work. They want the glory, but they don't want the pain. They dream of success, but the moment things get difficult, they back down. They quit at the first sign of resistance. And that's exactly why so many people never reach the level they say they want. Because deep down, they don't actually want success. They just want it to be easy. But nothing great comes without struggle. Nothing meaningful is handed to you without effort. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, every champion, every self-made millionaire, every person who built something out of nothing, they all struggled. They all went through moments when they wanted to quit. They all had nights filled with doubt, days when they questioned whether it was even worth it. But they pushed through, and that's why they made it. Because they were willing to endure what most people couldn't. Struggle isn't a sign that something is wrong. Struggle is the price of admission. It's the process that forces you to grow. It's what separates the ones who just talk about success from the ones who actually achieve it. The people who avoid struggle, who look for the easy way, who quit as soon as things get uncomfortable, those are the ones who stay stuck. They want shortcuts. They want results without sacrifice. And because of that, they never build the resilience, the skill, or the discipline it actually takes to win. Think about it. The person who wants to get in shape but isn't willing to push through the soreness, isn't willing to say no to junk food, isn't willing to wake up early and hit the gym, that person will never transform their body. The person who wants financial freedom but isn't willing to work late nights, isn't willing to learn new skills, isn't willing to make sacrifices, that person will never escape the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. The person who wants to build a business, but isn't willing to face rejection, isn't willing to work without guarantees, isn't willing to fail and keep going, that person will never create the success they dream of. Struggle is not the enemy. Struggle is the teacher. Struggle is what sharpens you, what strengthens you, what forces you to become the kind of person who can actually handle success when it comes. Because the truth is, success is not just about what you achieve, it's about who you become in the process. And the process will test you. It will push you to your limits. It will demand more from you than you think you have to give. But if you can endure it, if you can push through the pain, if you can embrace the struggle instead of running from it, that's when you unlock the next level of your life. Most people never realize that struggle is a gift. It doesn't feel like it at the time. It feels like a burden. It feels like an obstacle. But every time you push through, every time you refuse to quit, every time you struggle but keep going, you become stronger. You build a mindset that can't be broken. You develop the kind of character that success requires. And that's why struggle is necessary. It's not just about getting what you want. It's about earning it. It's about becoming the person who deserves it. So if you're struggling right now, good. That means you're in the process. That means you're being tested. That means you're growing. The worst thing that could ever happen to you is not struggling. It's staying the same. It's never pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. It's living the same year over and over again and calling it a life. Struggle is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. When you quit, you don't just lose progress. You lose confidence. You train yourself to walk away when things get tough. And once you start quitting, it becomes a habit. It becomes who you are. But when you push through, when you fight through the struggle and come out on the other side, that's when you realize just how strong you actually are. The people who succeed are not the people who had it easy. They are the ones who struggled, who failed, who kept going even when everything inside of them wanted to give up. They are the ones who embraced the process, instead of trying to escape it. And that's why they won. Because they were willing to struggle for it. So if you're not willing to struggle, you're not ready to succeed. But if you are, if you're willing to endure the pain, if you're willing to keep going when it gets hard, if you're willing to push yourself further than you ever have before, then success is only a matter of time. Because struggle is not a roadblock. Struggle is the way forward. And those who are willing to walk that path will always find themselves standing at the top. Number 8. Stop spending on wants. Invest in your growth instead. Most people don't even realize that the way they spend their money is shaping their future. Every dollar you spend is either building the life you want or keeping you stuck in the life you're trying to escape. But here's the problem. Too many people are caught in a cycle of spending on things that don't actually move them forward. They spend on temporary pleasure instead of lasting progress. They buy things to impress people they don't even like. While their dreams remain unfunded, their potential remains untapped, and their future remains uncertain. Success isn't just about how much you earn. It's about how much you invest in yourself. You can make all the money in the world, but if you're spending it recklessly, if you're prioritizing wants over growth, if you're choosing instant gratification over long-term rewards, you'll always find yourself struggling, always living paycheck to paycheck, always wondering why nothing ever changes. Because the truth is, it's not just about income, it's about priorities. It's about where your money is going. You see, people will tell you they can't afford to invest in themselves. They can't afford to start a business. They can't afford to buy that book, take that course, attend that seminar. But somehow they can afford to go out every weekend, buy the latest gadgets, upgrade their car, or spend on things that add nothing to their future. And that's the biggest mistake people make. They spend money on things that don't matter while ignoring the things that could actually change their life. It's not that they don't have the money, it's that they don't have the discipline. Because here's the reality. Every successful person you admire made the decision to invest in their own growth before they had the money to do it. They sacrificed. They cut back on unnecessary spending. They lived below their means so they could afford to build something bigger. They understood that success requires trade-offs, and they made the right ones. The world rewards those who are willing to put growth before comfort. That's why the people who are constantly upgrading their knowledge, improving their skills, and reinvesting in their future are the ones who keep moving forward. While everyone else is stuck, they're rising. While everyone else is complaining about not having enough, they're using what they have to build more. They're not wasting money on things they don't need. They're using it to become more valuable, more skilled, more knowledgeable, and that's why they win. The real question is, how badly do you want it? Are you willing to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term success? Are you willing to give up buying things that give you a quick dopamine hit so you can invest in things that give you a lifetime of rewards? Are you willing to make temporary sacrifices so you can build a future where you never have to worry about money again? Because that's what it takes. Every dollar you waste is a dollar that could have been used to change your life. Every time you choose to spend on a want, instead of investing in your growth, you're pushing your dreams further away. And most people don't realize this until it's too late. They wake up years later, looking back at all the money they wasted, all the time they lost, and they wonder why they're still stuck in the same place. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be the person who had the potential, but never acted on it. You don't want to be the person who had the resources, but used them the wrong way. You want to be the person who made the right decisions early, who built something meaningful, who made the sacrifices most people weren't willing to make. And that starts with shifting the way you think about money. Money is not just something you spend, it's something you use. It's a tool. And when you use it the right way, it can completely transform your life. But if you use it the wrong way, it will keep you stuck, always working for more, but never getting ahead. That's why financial discipline is so important. That's why investing in your own growth is the smartest decision you can ever make. Because the better you become, the more valuable you become. The more valuable you become, the more opportunities you attract. And when you start seeing money as a tool for growth, instead of just a way to satisfy cravings, everything changes. Think about the last time you spent money on something that didn't really matter. Something you thought would make you happy, but a few days later, you didn't even care about it anymore. Now think about the last time you invested in yourself. Maybe it was a book that gave you a new perspective. Maybe it was a course that taught you a skill. Maybe it was something that helped you move closer to your goals. Which one had a bigger impact on your future? Which one actually made a difference in your life? That's the key. The things that bring short-term pleasure rarely bring long-term results. But the things that seem difficult in the moment, the things that require sacrifice, the things that require discipline, those are the things that lead to real success. And if you can train yourself to prioritize growth over gratification, if you can learn to use your money as a tool, instead of letting it control you, you will set yourself up for a level of success that most people never reach. The choice is yours. You can keep spending on things that don't matter. Keep living for the moment. Keep staying in the same cycle year after year. Or you can decide to be different. You can decide to invest in your future, to use your money wisely, to prioritize your growth over your comfort. And if you do that, if you commit to that path, there is no limit to how far you can go. Because success is not about how much you have. It's about how well you use what you have. And those who use it wisely, those who invest in themselves, those who make the right sacrifices, they're the ones who win in the end. Number 9, you can't keep negative people and expect a positive life. Most people don't realize that the biggest obstacle in their life isn't always their circumstances, their lack of resources, or even their own mindset. Sometimes the real problem is the people they surround themselves with. You can have the greatest ambitions, the strongest work ethic, and the clearest vision for your future. But if you're constantly surrounded by negativity, by people who drain your energy, doubt your potential, and pull you back every time you try to move forward, then no matter how hard you try, you'll always feel stuck. Because you can't build a positive life while keeping negative people in your circle. Look at the people around you. Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Are they inspiring you to become better? Or are they constantly feeding you reasons why you can't do it? The truth is, your environment shapes you more than you realize. The people you talk to, the conversations you engage in, the attitudes you're exposed to daily, these things affect the way you think, the way you see yourself, and ultimately, the decisions you make. You can't expect to grow if you're constantly surrounded by people who refuse to grow. You can't expect to win if the people around you have already accepted defeat. Negative people don't just bring bad energy. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind. They make you second-guess your abilities. They make you feel like your dreams are unrealistic. Your goals are too big. Your ambitions are foolish. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing them. You'll start lowering your expectations, shrinking your goals, and settling for less. Not because you're not capable, but because you allowed someone else's small mindset to define your potential. And that's the danger of keeping the wrong people in your life. Some people will never support you, not because you can't do it, but because they couldn't do it themselves. Your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Your success reminds them of their failures. And instead of working on themselves, instead of changing their own mindset, they'd rather pull you down to their level. Because it's easier to break someone else's confidence than to build their own. That's why you have to be ruthless about who you allow in your life. Because the wrong people will drain you. They will exhaust you mentally and emotionally. They will make you feel like every step forward is a battle, like every goal you set is impossible. And before you know it, you'll start questioning yourself, doubting your abilities, hesitating when you should be taking action. Not because you lack talent, not because you lack discipline, but because you surrounded yourself with the wrong energy for too long. You need people who push you forward, not hold you back. You need people who see your potential, who encourage your growth, who challenge you to be better. Because the right people will expand your vision. They will make you believe in possibilities you never even considered before. They will hold you accountable, remind you of your greatness, and push you to keep going when things get tough. And that kind of environment is priceless. But to make space for the right people, you have to let go of the wrong ones. And this is where most people struggle. They hold on to toxic relationships out of guilt, out of obligation, out of fear of being alone. But what they don't realize is that keeping negative people in your life is far lonelier than walking alone for a while. Because when you're surrounded by negativity, by people who don't believe in you, by people who drain your energy, you will feel isolated, even in a crowded room. You have to make a decision. Do you want to be liked by everyone? Or do you want to build the life you deserve? Do you want to keep people around just because they've been in your life for a long time? Or do you want to surround yourself with people who actually contribute to your growth? You can't have both. You can't keep holding on to people who are holding you back and expect to move forward at the same time. At some point, you have to choose. And choosing yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. Because you can't pour into your own dreams, your own goals, your own growth, if you're constantly drained by negativity. You can't step into your highest potential if you're always carrying the weight of other people's doubts, fears, and insecurities. And the moment you realize this, the moment you truly understand how much your environment impacts your success, that's when everything starts to change. It's not easy to walk away from people who have been part of your life for years. It's not easy to set boundaries, to say no, to distance yourself from people who don't support your journey. But what's even harder is staying in an environment that keeps you small, that keeps you stuck, that makes you feel like your dreams are impossible. Because at the end of the day, you're either growing or you're shrinking. You're either surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, or you're allowing yourself to be pulled down by people who refuse to change. So ask yourself, who are you keeping around? Are they adding to your life, or are they taking away from it? Are they making you better, or are they holding you back? Because your future depends on your answer. Your success depends on your answer. The quality of your life depends on your answer. And if you realize that you've been surrounded by the wrong people, don't hesitate to make a change. Don't hesitate to walk away. Don't hesitate to choose yourself. Because you can't build a positive life in a negative environment. You can't reach your full potential while carrying the weight of people who don't believe in you. And the sooner you realize this, the sooner you take action, the sooner your life will start to transform. Because the truth is, when you remove the wrong people, the right ones start showing up. When you let go of negativity, you make space for positivity. When you stop settling for less, you start attracting more. And when you finally choose to prioritize your own growth, your own happiness, your own success, that's when everything in your life starts to change. Number 10, small sacrifices today lead to big wins tomorrow. Most people want success, but very few are willing to do what it takes to get there. They dream about the big wins, the financial freedom, the respect, the opportunities. But when it comes to making sacrifices, giving up short-term comfort, resisting distractions, putting in the hard work when no one is watching, they hesitate. They want the results without the struggle, the reward without the discipline. And that's exactly why so many people stay stuck. wishing for a better life, but never doing what's necessary to create it. Because the truth is, success isn't built on grand, dramatic moves. It's built on small, consistent sacrifices that most people aren't willing to make. Every successful person you admire today once made choices that most people around them weren't willing to make. They woke up earlier when everyone else was sleeping. They worked late into the night when others were out partying. They skipped unnecessary spending while their friends were buying things just to impress people. They put in the effort when it felt like nothing was paying off. And because they made those small sacrifices, they eventually reached a place that others never could. The problem is, most people don't see the connection between what they do today and where they'll end up years from now. They think skipping the gym one day won't make a difference, that wasting an hour on social media won't matter, that spending money on things they don't need isn't a big deal. But what they don't realize is that these small choices, repeated over time, shape their entire future. Because the little things you do or don't do every single day are what separate those who succeed from those who don't. Sacrifice isn't about suffering. It's not about depriving yourself just for the sake of it. It's about making smart choices today that will make your future easier. It's about discipline, about knowing what you truly want, and being willing to let go of the things that don't serve that goal. Because every time you say no to something that doesn't align with your vision, you're saying yes to something bigger, something greater, something that will make a real difference in your life. The people who win in life aren't necessarily the most talented, the most intelligent, or the most privileged. They're the ones who are willing to make the right sacrifices, day in and day out, without needing immediate rewards. They understand that every hour they invest in learning, in working, in improving themselves compounds over time. They know that every dollar they save, every workout they complete, every distraction they avoid, is a step closer to where they want to be. And while others are waiting for motivation, they're making progress. One of the biggest mistakes people make is expecting success to come in one giant leap. They think there's going to be some big moment where everything changes overnight, but that's not how it works. Success isn't about one big move. It's about 1,000 small choices, 1,000 small sacrifices that add up over time. It's about choosing growth over comfort, discipline over distractions, and consistency over quick results. Most people won't do this because it doesn't feel exciting in the moment. Giving up a weekend party to work on your goals doesn't feel fun. Waking up before sunrise to train when no one is watching doesn't feel exciting. Cutting back on unnecessary expenses when others are flaunting their lifestyle doesn't feel rewarding at first. But the difference between those who achieve something great and those who stay stuck is that the ones who succeed understand that discomfort today leads to rewards tomorrow. The question is, are you willing to do what most people won't? Are you willing to wake up early while others sleep? Are you willing to say no to things that don't help you move forward? Are you willing to stay disciplined, even when you don't see instant results? Because if you are, if you truly commit to making those small sacrifices, you will be unstoppable. Because the truth is, sacrifice is temporary, but success is permanent. The work you put in today, the discipline you develop, the foundation you build, these things will serve you for a lifetime. It's easy to look at successful people and think they got lucky, that they had opportunities you didn't have, that their journey was easier. But what you don't see are the years of effort, the nights they spent working when they could have been relaxing, the choices they made that most people wouldn't. Because while others were making excuses, they were making sacrifices, and that's why they're ahead. You have to stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for circumstances to be ideal. If you keep putting things off, if you keep avoiding the necessary sacrifices, then 5 years from now, you'll be in the exact same place you are today, wondering why nothing has changed. But if you start now, if you commit to making the right choices, to giving up short-term comfort for long-term success, then in 5 years, you'll be thanking yourself. You'll look back and realize that every small sacrifice you made was worth it. So what are you willing to give up? What distractions? What bad habits? What unnecessary comforts are you willing to leave behind? Because success demands a price, and if you're not willing to pay it, you can't expect to win. But if you are, if you truly commit to the process, if you're willing to do what others won't, then success isn't a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. Success is not for the chosen few, it's for the few who choose. At the end of the day, success isn't about luck, it's about choices. It's about what you're willing to give up today, to create the life you want tomorrow. Most people dream about success, but few are willing to do what it takes. They hesitate, they wait for the right moment, they look for shortcuts, but the truth is, there are none. The only way to get ahead is to sacrifice the things that hold you back. Maybe it's giving up late nights of meaningless entertainment, so you can wake up early and work on your goals. Maybe it's cutting out negative influences that drain your energy. Maybe it's resisting the urge to spend money on things you don't need, so you can invest in your growth. Whatever it is, you have to decide what matters more, temporary pleasure or long-term success. You won't always feel motivated. There will be days when you'll want to quit, when the struggle feels too much. But those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments that separate the ones who succeed from the ones who stay stuck. If you keep pushing forward, if you keep showing up, if you keep making the hard choices, one day you'll look back and realize it was all worth it. So ask yourself, how bad do you really want it? Because if you want it enough, you'll find a way. You'll make the sacrifices. You'll do what most people won't. And if you do that, nothing can stop you.